Hi there, it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. As usual, I'm going to be starting off with my 110 pound Nina Solar White card base that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I am cutting down some light grey cardstock. You can see the measurements there on screen. And then I'm going to cut down a black piece that again is slightly smaller. And originally I cut it down to be a proper layering piece, but I'm going to cut it down even further in just a minute. Now, I will be honest and say that I actually filmed this card about 4 or 5 months ago. And at the time, I did not like it at all. And I kind of kept the footage just sitting there. And I went to delete the footage the other day and I thought, it's actually not too bad. I kind of like it now that I look back. So let me know what you guys think, if this is a one of those keeper cards or one of those ones that just doesn't look quite right. Anyhow, I am going for this tiny little white strip down the middle here and just making sure that everything measures up and kind of is all nice and even. Now I have this happy birthday die here, and again I will see if this is still available. As I said, this is an older card and I'm not sure, but I will have a look, and if it is, it'll be linked down below. I have run it through my die cutting machine. I have a Cardbug die cutting machine, and I'm going to run it through and gently remove that tape there that was holding it on. What I am going to do first is turn it over and put on a little bit of the low-tack tape onto the back. Now this is so I can do some die cut inlay, but what I want to do is I'm going to change the color of the letters, but what I need is for all of those little inside pieces to stay white. So I am going to carefully put all of these little pieces back in. This is a We Are Memory Keeper's QuickStik tool, which just has a little bit of sticky on the end, which is really good for picking up those little pieces. Then I have a piece of grey cardstock here. This is the same light grey that I used before. And all I want out of this is the happy and the birthday actual words. And this is what I will use to inlay a little bit later on. Now I have this kind of doily die, which I again have had for a really long time. So I'll do my best to find it for you. And I have cut this out of some of the same white cardstock. This is the Nina Solar White cardstock. And it doesn't matter which one you use, just as long as you use the same whites. You don't have to have the Nina one at all. And you can see this black piece here, which is going to line up down the middle. I want to create a nice kind of edging for that black piece out of these doily dies. So I'm going to put a little bit of double-sided adhesive down each side of the back of this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them right down the center. Now these are symmetrical, so that makes it nice and easy to find the center, and I'm going to put 2 on each side. Now all I'm going to do is remove the double-sided tape, and I have lined up the doilies side by side so that there is roughly the same amount showing of each one. And again, it's really easy to do using kind of the marks on the doily, so there's no real science to it. I am just eyeballing it, but I just want enough peeking out that it kind of creates a beautiful edging, or what I think is a nice edging. I am going to cut off the excess just to keep it nice and tidy there at the back, and then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. So you could definitely use liquid glue to do this, and I think it would give you a lot more wriggle room, but I guess, yeah, I just went with double-sided tape. Either works fine. So I do want this middle panel to be nice and popped up, and I'm going to use some of this nice wide foam tape that I have here. This is really sticky foam tape to work with, but you could definitely just use normal fun foam and glue it on the back using liquid glue or double-sided adhesive. You don't have to use the double-sided foam tape either. So I have popped up the back with lots of pieces to make sure it's all nice and even and equally supported. And then for the front here, I'm going to carry on with my die cut inlay. So I have my white piece, which has the low-tack tape on the back, which is keeping everything in. And what I want to do here is I'm going to carefully pull out just the letters. Now I'm making sure that all of those little inside pieces stay stuck to the tape on the back. And then I'm going to pop in the grey one that we die cut earlier on in the piece. So again, this is going to stick down to that tape that is on the back, and you can see they just fit in perfectly. They slot in really nicely, and that is the beauty of die cut inlay, is that they just pop in and it's kind of like a puzzle piece. But at the moment, I need to remember that I just have low-tack tape on the back. In fact, you can see it as some reused low-tack tape. So I'm going to put a little piece of tape down on the front of it, then gently pull off the back of it so that everything is now sticking to the front. And now I'm going to put down some more permanent double-sided adhesive to keep all of those little pieces in. And now that I know that the back is nice and secure and all in place, I can turn it over and remove that little temporary low-tack tape from the front, and everything is sitting there perfectly and didn't move. So that's the die cut inlay part done. Then when I was starting to put it together with the white strip on the black one with the doilies, I just felt like it was too plain and not enough kind of to make it stand out. So I felt like it just needed this really little layer of grey to go either side of it. Now the good thing about using the double-sided tape on the back of that inlay part is that I can just pop it down on that grey piece, and this is just a matter of layering everything up. So this is a really simple card that you are able to replicate. You could use any kind of decorative edge to go down the side there if you don't have the doilies. I'm sure if you look through your stash you would have other dies that would work perfectly fine. Or even use a piece of lace or a piece of ribbon. Anything would look really nice. It's just a nice easy plain card with the black, whites and greys, and you can also change up the sentiment in the middle to fit any occasion that you needed. So as I said, this is just a matter of layering everything together. You could definitely use a bit more foam tape here if you wanted to, but I was just happy with the double-sided tape. Now, when I go to put this piece down, so I'm going to put some double-sided tape on and I'm getting ready to adhere this piece to my card base. I look at the card all together, and again, this was one of those cards where every single step of the way I felt like it didn't look right. So I'm looking at it and I don't like it at all. I feel like the black kind of stands out. There's nothing there to match it. So this is where I used my Hero Arts Infinity Frames, which is a great die set to invest in. It gives 18 different sizes of rectangles, and they are all really close together so that you can make some nice skinny little frames. So I decided to make one of those frames out of the black cardstock. I adhered it using some liquid glue, the Ranger Multi-Medium in the matte finish, and I adhered that down to my card base, and now I'm ready to put down my grey layer. And you'll see that actually it's just a really tiny slim border of black, but to me that definitely makes the card, and it kind of makes everything a little more cohesive in the end. And then I'm just going to put the center part on and peel off the release paper of all of the foam tape and center it up in the middle, and we are pretty much done. So I hope you like this card. I kind of, as I said, I really did not like it at all when I did it. And I left the footage there for months and months, and then I kind of looked at it and thought, yeah, it's not as bad as what I thought maybe. So I hope that it has been worth doing the voiceovers and editing it and bringing it to you guys. And yeah, just a nice, clean, easy, simple card. I'm adding a little bit of glossy accents onto the sentiment on the front, and that just gives it, again, that little raised glossy shine to it. Thank you so much for joining me. I really look forward to seeing you in the next video. I did just want to quickly say thank you so much to those lovely, kind people who take the time out of their day to write me and leave me comments in the comment section down below. I appreciate it so much, and it really does mean a lot to me. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.